Hi, and welcome to the Angel Advisory for the week of March 6th to the 12th. This week's energy, when I was checking into it this morning, the message I received was every man for himself. So everyone for themselves this week is really what the energy is all about. And by saying that, it doesn't mean that you're going to be lonely or alone all week. It just means that everything that is coming to you is either from a choice you made or from a decision you made or whatever, and it's like yours to deal with and not to be looking for the knight in white shining armor to come flying in to rescue you. It also, though, the other part that came with this energy was the song by David Getty, feat. Sia, is Titanium. And that the lyric kept going over and over in my mind this morning. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know the whole lyrics and that. But I did a little research, and what that means is it's about us being in our inner strength and in our heart strength, and everything that's sort of coming at us from other people is bouncing off of us. So don't take everything to heart. Whatever's coming at you is not necessarily something that you have to deal with. It could be the other person, and it could be their stuff that they're dealing with. And it's really interesting that this is how the energy is starting to play out for this week, because we are coming up to the new moon on the 8th, and it is going to be in Pisces, and it is also going to be a solar eclipse moon. So new moons are always about endings and beginnings. We're ending something and we're starting a new thing, and usually we are manifesting things to come into our life and everything. Although this time around, with the solar eclipse happening, it's going to bring up deep healing of wounds. Okay, so some of you might have already noticed, because we're close enough today being the 6th, and you might have already started noticing it yesterday, because the energy of any moon, either the new or the full, usually is about 3 days ahead and 3 days after. So you have a 6-day period where you can be in the energy and starting to feel the energy. So the interesting thing when I say that you might already be feeling this is the thought that came to me this morning was, in the past here a little while, there has been things brought up to me which, happened in the past, and I have no recollection of it all. And they were things that probably I should have a recollection of. And they were things maybe that were not, shall we say, the love angle, but were more of a challenge. And so that tells me, when I questioned that this morning, it's like, okay, well, why can't I remember these things? And it's like, those are the things that you have healed and moved past. So they're not in your memory bank. It's not something in that. And typically, like I've always said, when we recall things from our past, 9 times out of 10, we're going to recall the challenges before we recall the happy moments. It's just the way that we are. And so if you are having some deep healing taking place, take heart. This is your day to be, or your week to be going within and doing some inner work. It's not to be scary or to be frightening, because the end of this is going to be true happiness for you and more of a peacefulness coming to all of us if we take this opportunity. So this week's energy is definitely a really good week to be titanium and let things bounce off of you and just really go with the flow and sort of see where that flow takes you and that. And if you are having a moment where there is a challenge that's coming up from your past and it's asking to be healed and released, and that, take a few moments to sit with that. Take a few days. And know that it might take longer than a few days. It could take as long as a few months. It could take a couple of weeks. It might only take an hour. And sometimes it's just being willing to acknowledge that you're being asked to heal this that makes it go a lot easier. So today we're going to get some cards from the Energy Oracle deck by Sandra Ann Taylor. Try not to have it. Let's see if I put it over on this side. Nope, we're still getting a glare. It's a little bit better. Anyway, by Sandra Ann Taylor, and we're going to see what we have coming for us for this week in the way of help or things that we should be aware of. Oh, our third chakra. Oh, this is the seat of our fear and our gut feelings. So go with your gut this week and really sort of pay attention to that. And if something is coming at you and you're kind of feeling okay about it, go with that feeling. Know that it is okay and it's not something that you need to worry about. The other thing, what I'm getting with this is if something comes to you and you're being in a seat of fear and your stomach's getting all blah, 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 and tied up in knots and everything, move it up into your heart space and see if you can shift it somehow that way. By looking at it, by pouring love into it, and see if you can shift it up. Not always will you be able to, but maybe you can. And if you can't, then that means it's a fear that you have, and you really need to sit and look at it and understand the root of why you are having this fear come up to you. And that not a nice place to be. But the energy right now is really supportive of having this healing happen. So take the opportunity and just embrace it. Oh, the next card is the 7th chakra, Archangel Uriel. So this is the 7th is our crown chakra, and that is where our higher self, our all-knowing, our spirit comes through to us. And so this is really quite interesting because I'm, going through this. So when you're having this, something's coming up and it might be a little bit challenging. Look to your higher self and see what it's saying, and maybe pull the light down from that, the energy down from that into your solar plex, and see if you can clear it up a little bit that way. Listen to your higher self always, and it's really hard to do when you are in a fear or a challenging moment, to just breathe and just quiet everything down enough so that you can hear the wisdom that you already have and already know and be able to deal with something. So let's see what else is coming out for us this week. Oh, action. So we have two horses. We have yin and yang, because that's how I always see this. When I see this card, I always see the symbol. And action. So this is a week of action. And I'm not getting that it's a week where we're going to be taking extreme action. It's going to be more of a personal action. And I'll give you a little bit of a heads up on this, which is really, for me, this is my action was decluttering. So I started at work last week and, cleaning out old files and things that no longer were pertinent and what was needed. And I also then started here in my home clearing out the clutter. And just by doing a few simple things like that, by taking that action, I shifted up the energy quite a bit. So it depends on what kind of action you're being drawn to take. That was the action that I was being guided to take, was to clear the clutter so that things would be able to flow and expand better in my life. So whatever action it is, it might be that, you've been holding back on having a conversation with someone because, there's some touchy-feely feelings and hurt emotions and things like that going on. But this is the week to take care of that and to make sure that you do whatever your action you are called to do from your heart and with a lot of love. And to stand strong. We're going back to the titanium, and we're standing on our own power, and we are not going to accept what other people are always flinging at us and everything. We're going to do it with compassion, but we also need to stand our ground sometimes, and that sometimes is a big thing to do. Okay, so we are going to there's a few that came out here, so I'm going to do them. A man holding a heart, doorway to romance, and the second chakra, which is our sacral chakra. And these are all feelings of love and romance and our sexual energy and that, which is very important. And so the first thing that's coming to me as soon as I said our sexual energy, and that because it's in both male and female, but this is about us bringing out our feminine side and not having our masculine take over this week. Sit with your feminine side, because your feminine side is softer and gentler, and it is more the nurturing one. Our masculine side is more of the fix it, problem solve, get on, move on. And so I think we need to have more of a balance this week. This also, though, is telling me that this is a great week to sort of go, stay at home with your significant other and just build on that relationship. And if you don't have a significant other, build on the relationship within yourself. As I said way back in February around Valentine's, all of us have male and female energy within us, and sometimes one is overbalanced and other times one is underbalanced, and we need to really work at having them in balance. So this is like a really good week, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of personal work for us. It'll be more of a personal week than a gregarious, outgoing, get out there kind of week. But all in all, that we should weather this storm this week fantastic and come out the other side knowing a little bit more about who we are and where we're going. So to each and every one of you, I say thank you for joining me today for the Angel Advisory. Namaste. Until next week. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.